Emotions and your health. What if I told you that your emotions are keeping you stuck in pain? Welcome to the Health Builders community. Looking at the big picture, emotions are part of the subtle anatomy that are a component of the less than physical structure of your being. Have a look at this picture again. You can see that the emotions lie below the thoughts in terms of the way the energy comes into your body. So your thoughts create emotions, and the emotions then color or impact on the energy that is released into your body. Emotions are created as part of the process that allows us to think and process thoughts. Emotions can be positive or negative and even toxic, or even life enhancing, and they can cause blocks anywhere and everywhere in your energy system with long-term consequences. Here's a key understanding. Your body is run by a massive supercomputer that runs billions of programs every second. Emotions are included in the process of creating these programs that guide your body. So everything you do, without exception, is processed through the lens of an emotion in the same way that the computers which we have in the world today store data on a hard drive. Your supercomputer stores experiences on what we might consider to be a massive hard drive known as your subconscious and unconscious mind. This is a simple analogy, but it really helps us to understand what's going on. Consider the fact that you are made up of 70 trillion living cells. They did not come together by chance. They didn't just fall together. They were put together by this magnificent life force energy that is within us. It is this massive computer that is running the show. Logically, therefore, it knows what's causing your problem and it knows how to fix it because it put it there. The only issue is it has no way of telling you what to do in order to fix it. Until now, that is. Because energy kinesiology opens the door to this extraordinary reality and allows you to walk in. In reality, everything that has ever happened to you since the moment of conception until now has been stored on this hard drive in the energy field. You don't have access to this at a conscious level, because if you did, it would blow your head off, as there would be far too much information for you to process. But your supercomputer does. It has access to this, and it often makes future decisions based on the programs that have been written in the past. I will be discussing how this works in detail later, but it explains a lot about how we deal with and handle trauma and traumatic situations, and why we often get stuck in old patterns. This may sound a little bit complicated, so let's keep it very simple. Every thought is accompanied by an emotion or a feeling, and these are stored in your energy field as memories or pieces of information which you don't have conscious connection to most of the time. Here's the remarkable thing. Using energy kinesiology, it is possible to identify these exact emotions and their connections by a simple process. You may have no conscious connection to the emotion, but your supercomputer absolutely knows what emotions are connected to the particular issues that are stressing you or the problem that you're looking at. Once you have identified this emotion, you can diffuse the stress around it so that you no longer react in a traumatic way as you used to do in the past. You don't lose the memory, you lose the emotional connection to the trauma that was associated with the memory. So it's important to see or not to see emotions as negative things. They are just a part of life. Some are positive, some are negative. The important thing is to understand that if they are connected to negative experiences in your life, that it is possible to disconnect the experience from that emotion and prevent you from triggering it again and again in the future if a similar situation arises. Let me give you an example. We all have fears and phobias. Most of these were created by traumatic situations, but they also can be learned in childhood from our parents, from siblings, from friends, in the environment, and even inherited. When I was young, probably around 8 years old, I was pushed into the deep end of a swimming pool and nearly drowned. As a result, I developed an intense fear of swimming pools, of particularly deep water, and was very reluctant to learn to swim. I did some energy kinesiology work on this and was able to learn to swim, but because I haven't completed the journey in this particular part of my life, in terms of diffusing and distressing all the connections to this emotional trauma, I still don't love swimming or getting into deep water. This is a fairly traumatic example, but it was life-threatening and therefore created loads and loads of survival programs to keep me alive. These included preventing me getting back into a similar situation again, hence a fear of deep water. These types of life-threatening experiences can spill over into many parts of our lives and can be a source of anxiety and fear and even depression. So learning how to disconnect from these traumatic experiences can be life-changing, and it doesn't take all that long to do it. I've had many experiences with folks who had fears and phobias. I remember one lady came to me who was absolutely terrified of flying. She was so fearful that she would jump up out of the seat as soon as the plane touched down and rush to the front of the plane to get out before the plane even got to the gate. She would be white-knuckled, sweating, heart racing, all the classic symptoms of fight and flight and adrenal stress. So I asked her, if you're so terrified about flying, why do you fly? She basically said there are certain situations that she had no choice in and she just had to do it. So I spent a little time, maybe perhaps over half an hour, clearing the stresses that were identified using the process which you will learn in the course called the muscle monitoring course, learning muscle monitoring, and basically just use the same techniques, spent a half an hour going through the stress release processes, using energy kinesiology, and that was it. To her amazement and my delight, the next flight she took, she described as a piece of cake. She couldn't believe it. All her fear was gone, all the anxiety was gone, and she admitted she could even get to enjoy flying. This was a remarkable result, providing a life-changing experience for her, using a very simple and powerful stress release technique that anyone can learn. It continues to amaze me how we can facilitate changes in the human body that are really very profound when we know how. In the past, she would have taken Valium to try and calm her nerves, but was that treating the cause? No, it was only masking the effect. When we were able to treat the cause, we were able to help release the trauma, and then there wasn't an effect. I tell you all this to explain that dealing with your emotions will be very important to you as you develop your personal healing journey. It is not traumatic, as the process is very gentle and very safe. I've developed a whole protocol on how to identify and clear emotions associated with trauma or chronic stress, which of course lead to illness and often chronic illness, and that is part of what you will learn in the foundational course. This is the course that changes everything, and it's called Learning Muscle Monitoring, and a link to this course is available in the description of this video.